Well, the problem is none of those guys are ever saying it. We don't hear Shaq calling himself the GOAT, and Shaq does a lot of podcasting. He's on television. He's always talking about other people.
Big Perk is absolutely right in this regard. He's talking about they would say the same thing. No, they wouldn't. Michael Jordan would never tell you he's the GOAT. I know Michael Jordan. I speak to him often. I'm telling you, he has never, ever, ever once called himself the greatest. Ever. The man is addicted to trying to control the narrative. Everything he does is calculating. He knows exactly what he's doing. He plots and he plans, hoping to have a specific impact. I would know.
LeBron James finally put his feelings into words, and the second he did, one of the longest-running friendships in basketball suddenly became the center of everyone's attention.
I'm not taking nobody over me. There's no question. But I think Mike Jordan would say the same thing. Rest his soul. Kobe Bryant would say the same thing. Magic Johnson will say the same thing. Larry Bird will say the same thing. Shaq could say the same thing, James said. The late, great Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't think none of us are going to take somebody else.
The conversation started with LeBron James himself, speaking to Time magazine and making it clear that every all-time great, including himself, believes they're the greatest to ever do it. It wasn't Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or Shaquille O'Neal making that claim. It came directly from LeBron, and the basketball world wasted no time reacting. Then, less than 2 days later, Kendrick Perkins took the discussion to live television and openly pushed back against LeBron's comments. He didn't dodge the topic because of their friendship, and he didn't water down his opinion to avoid criticism. Instead, Perkins made it clear that knowing LeBron for decades wouldn't stop him from saying exactly what he believed. Before long, the entire First Take panel was arguing over the issue during the middle of the NBA Finals. For many fans, it became one of the most public disagreements Kendrick Perkins and LeBron James had ever shared, leaving some to wonder if people would ever view their relationship the same way. What made Perkins' response different was the history behind it. He wasn't just another TV analyst looking for attention or a random voice joining the debate. He and LeBron had known each other since 7th grade, competing against one another on the AAU circuit, with Perkins playing for the Houston Hooks while LeBron starred for the Ohio Shooting Stars. Their paths crossed again at the well-known ABCD camp, and years later they even became teammates with the Cleveland Cavaliers. After his playing career ended, Perkins consistently defended LeBron on First Take, even calling him the greatest player of all time. According to Perkins, that stance even came with a price, as Jordan Brand reportedly stopped sending him early sneaker releases after he publicly backed LeBron in the GOAT debate. Whether people agreed with him or not, Perkins had already shown he was willing to stand with LeBron when that wasn't the popular position. That's why his reaction surprised so many people. When LeBron openly referred to himself as the GOAT, Perkins didn't shield his longtime friend or stay silent. The same analyst who had defended LeBron for years argued that publicly calling yourself the greatest wasn't the right move. Some fans believed he had suddenly switched sides, but Perkins said that wasn't the case. His criticism wasn't about LeBron's accomplishments, it was about how LeBron chose to talk about his own legacy. Perkins believed true greatness speaks for itself, and he questioned whether saying it out loud helped or hurt the conversation surrounding LeBron's place in history. From the moment the First Take segment began, Perkins skipped any slow build-up and immediately challenged the heart of LeBron's statement.
Well, the problem is none of those guys are ever saying it. We don't hear Shaq calling himself the GOAT, and Shaq does a lot of podcasting. He's on television. He's always talking about other people. Matter of fact, I believe he has Steph Curry as his GOAT right now. So he's never talking about himself.
LeBron argued that every all-time great sees himself as the greatest, but Kendrick Perkins wasn't buying that idea. He pushed back immediately, saying plenty of basketball legends have never publicly put themselves at the top, making it a direct disagreement with LeBron's point. To back that up, Perkins pointed to Shaquille O'Neal. Even though Shaq is considered one of the most dominant players the NBA has ever seen and spends plenty of time in front of cameras, Perkins noted that he's often used those moments to praise other players instead of declaring himself the GOAT. For Perkins, that example alone challenged the foundation of LeBron's argument. His point was simple. Not every legend feels the need to crown himself. Some choose to hand out the praise instead, giving other players their flowers rather than putting themselves first. Perkins believes that's been part of the unwritten culture surrounding basketball greatness, and as someone who's known LeBron James since they were kids, he felt LeBron took a different approach. But he wasn't done making his case. The comments that followed became some of the most discussed moments from the entire debate, quickly making the rounds on YouTube, sports podcasts, and basketball forums. Take another listen to what he said next.
And this is the problem that I have with Braun, is that instead of letting other people glorify you or give you your flowers, or a guy like me come on television that been through the trenches with you since childhood, let me come on and tell the world why you're the GOAT. You sit back and just accept the flowers.
When Perkins said, a guy like me that's been through the trenches with you since childhood should be the one telling the world why you're the GOAT, he wasn't just talking about their friendship. He was explaining why he believed his perspective carried real credibility. Perkins wanted people to see that he wasn't another television analyst chasing headlines or trying to stir up controversy. Instead, he presented himself as someone who had watched LeBron's journey from the very beginning. His argument centered on the idea that recognition should come from lifelong friends, respected competitors, and the history of the game itself. In his view, those voices should be the ones celebrating greatness, not the player making the claim. That was the foundation of everything Perkins was saying on air. He argued that many legendary athletes have built their reputations by letting their accomplishments speak first, accepting praise from others, and allowing time to define their legacy. Whether fans agreed with him or not, Perkins believed that approach carried more weight than publicly declaring yourself the greatest. So when he made those comments on live television, he wasn't just pushing back against LeBron's remarks, he was explaining why he felt it was important to say something in the first place. And after reminding everyone how deep their relationship went, Perkins became even more comfortable expanding his criticism. At that point, the conversation moved beyond LeBron's play on the court and shifted toward the timing of the interview itself.
We don't never hear Jordan say it, and here we are again. He knows we're going to pick up the soundbite. It's just here.
He wants us to.
We're in the NBA Finals.
And we're being distracted because of this.
Perkins also raised questions about when LeBron made the comment. He wondered if saying it during the NBA Finals guaranteed it would become one of the biggest stories while the entire basketball world was already locked in on the sport. From his perspective, the interview had quickly taken over the conversation at the exact moment everyone should have been focused on the championship series. Perkins even addressed the timing directly, saying, "We're in the NBA Finals. We're being distracted because of this." To him, the spotlight had shifted away from the finals and landed squarely on the debate surrounding LeBron's remarks. That point only fueled even more discussion among fans and analysts, and Perkins wasn't the only one with something to say. Across the desk, Stephen A. Smith listened to the argument before offering his own take on the situation.
Big Perk is absolutely right in this regard. He's talking about they would say the same thing. No, they wouldn't. Michael Jordan would never tell you he's the GOAT. I know Michael Jordan. I speak to him often. I'm telling you, he has never, ever, ever once called himself the greatest. Ever. It has never happened.
For Stephen A. Smith, this wasn't some new position he had suddenly adopted. He has spent years saying that Michael Jordan sits above LeBron James in the GOAT debate, so agreeing with parts of Kendrick Perkins' argument was completely consistent with what he'd been saying all along. But Stephen A. added another layer to the discussion. He explained that his opinion wasn't based solely on watching Jordan dominate on the court. Over the years, he's had personal conversations with Michael Jordan, and according to Stephen A., Jordan never once referred to himself as the greatest player of all time during those talks. He said the GOAT label simply never came up. By the time the segment wrapped up, Perkins and Stephen A. had arrived at a similar conclusion through very different experiences. Perkins relied on a lifelong relationship with LeBron, while Stephen A. pointed to his first-hand conversations with Jordan. Together, their comments helped turn one interview into one of the biggest basketball debates of the year. Both analysts argued that LeBron James was the only player in that discussion willing to publicly call himself the GOAT. Even then, the conversation didn't stop there. Many felt the debate reached another level once Michael Jordan's own comments entered the picture. In a separate interview, Jordan was asked about being called the greatest of all time, and his response quickly grabbed everyone's attention. He said, "It just doesn't exist for me." That answer stood in clear contrast to LeBron's earlier remark that every all-time great would see himself as the GOAT. Jordan's words gave fans another perspective to weigh, and they quickly became one of the biggest talking points across basketball media. From that point on, the discussion wasn't just analysts disagreeing with one another. Jordan's own comments became part of the argument. Supporters of Perkins believed Jordan's response reinforced the point Perkins had been making on television, while others continued defending LeBron's original statement. Either way, Jordan's remarks became impossible to overlook, and the debate only continued to grow. For Perkins, the issue had never been about one interview or one quote. His position was that recognition should come from others, not from the player making the claim. When Jordan's comments surfaced, Perkins believed they reflected the same point he had already made on television. That perspective didn't stop there either, as Kenny Smith later shared a very similar opinion on another major basketball show, saying,
"From an outside looking in, there's a comparison that is natural. And there is a debate. And it's for us to say it, maybe not for him. It's for us to tell you who the GOAT is. The people who've admired or both players or multiple players to tell you it is by the criteria that we set."
Kenny Smith echoed much of what Kendrick Perkins had already been saying. His view was straightforward. Deciding who deserves the GOAT title isn't the player's job. Instead, he argued that honor should come from fans, analysts, former players, and the history of the game itself. That lined up closely with Perkins' message that greatness is something other people recognize, not something you declare on your own. As more respected voices from different basketball shows shared similar opinions, the conversation only gained momentum. Even though each analyst explained it in a different way, they all kept coming back to the same question: who should ultimately decide when someone has earned the title of the greatest player of all time? Perkins, however, didn't limit his criticism to LeBron's words alone. He also questioned why the interview happened when it did, suggesting there may have been a broader media strategy behind it. That idea quickly became another major point of debate, with some fans agreeing with Perkins while others rejected that interpretation entirely. Stephen A. Smith then took the discussion a step further by expanding on that argument.
The man is addicted to trying to control the narrative. Everything he does is calculating. He knows exactly what he's doing. He plots and he plans, hoping to have a specific impact. I would know. Personally, I know what he does.
Stephen A. argued that LeBron has always been deliberate about the way he manages his public image and the stories surrounding his career. From his point of view, major interviews and high-profile moments aren't random, they're carefully timed. That's Stephen A.'s interpretation, and it's something basketball fans have debated for years. Looking at it that way, LeBron's GOAT comments arriving during the NBA Finals became part of a much bigger conversation. Critics believe the interview immediately became one of the biggest stories in basketball, while supporters argued LeBron was simply answering the question he was asked. No matter which side people took, the discussion spread across the basketball world, once again putting LeBron at the center of the sport's biggest headlines. Perkins viewed the situation one way, and Stephen A. reached a very similar conclusion through his own perspective. After discussing both the timing of the interview and LeBron's public approach, Stephen A. delivered a line that many fans felt summed up one of the biggest differences between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. He said he'll never admit it, but he knows it. His point wasn't about championships, scoring totals, or trophies. Instead, he focused on how each player approached the conversation. Stephen A. argued that Jordan never appeared interested in publicly calling himself the greatest, while LeBron has been more willing to address that topic in interviews and public appearances. Fans on both sides continue to see that difference in completely different ways. Some believe Jordan's quieter approach shows confidence in letting his career speak for itself. Others believe LeBron has earned the right to openly share his opinion after everything he has accomplished. That's exactly why the GOAT debate keeps resurfacing year after year with passionate arguments from both sides. Then, Chris Russo entered the discussion and added another perspective to the debate.
Here's what LeBron should do. Anybody who thinks he's better than Jordan, go take out the tape of every game in the Dallas series when Nowitzki beat him. And he averaged 17 a game, couldn't score in the fourth quarter, and was completely outplayed with a better team, Wade and Bosh. Find me a series where that happened to Jordan. Can't.
Chris Russo added another argument by pointing back to LeBron's 2011 NBA Finals. He highlighted that LeBron averaged 17 points per game in that series and argued it remains one of the biggest criticisms attached to his career. Russo contrasted that with Michael Jordan's Finals resume, saying he doesn't believe Jordan has a championship series that compares in that regard. It's a comparison basketball fans have gone back and forth on for years, and it continues to be one of the central topics whenever the GOAT debate comes up. Critics see moments like the 2011 Finals as an important part of evaluating LeBron's legacy. Meanwhile, LeBron's supporters point to his remarkable longevity, his overall accomplishments, and the elite level he's maintained for more than 2 decades in the NBA. That's why this debate never seems to fade away. Both sides believe they have a strong case, and neither appears willing to give any ground. But through all of this, one detail stood out above everything else. Kendrick Perkins wasn't just another analyst weighing in from the outside. He was someone who had defended LeBron for years, shared a long history with him, and repeatedly supported him in previous GOAT discussions. That history is what made his criticism resonate with so many people. It wasn't coming from a longtime rival, it came from someone who had consistently been in LeBron's corner. Whether you agree with Perkins, side with LeBron, or land somewhere in between, one thing is clear: the GOAT debate isn't going anywhere. Every interview, every championship run, and every unforgettable performance adds another chapter to one of basketball's most enduring conversations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other basketball fans who love debating the GOAT discussion. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which side of this debate are you on? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.